up to a note. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another installment to Rebel Without Applause, coming to you from my little corner, my nutshell of infinite space right here in the Wood of the Holly. You can hear the music. It's the very tone-like poem of the great KCK. She's in the house right now with her hit indie single, No Matter What, in the background. I'm so pleased to have her here on the other side of this little digital divide, breaking it down a little bit music-wise, a little bit philosophy-wise, and who the hell knows what-wise, but she's here in the house. Welcome, the great KCK, the leading voice, lyricist, the whole thing from Little Monarch. Welcome to a Rebel Without Applause.
Hey, bro.
Full disclosure to everybody out there who doesn't know, I am the bio bro to KCK.
We share DNA, or we share something.
We share a lot more than DNA, that's for sure. We have a shared history going back to, well, not only the beginning of her time, but maybe the beginning of all time. So we just heard this beautiful single. I kind of feel like it's sort of an anthem for you. It seems to embrace so much of what you're about and the themes that animate your music.
Well, it's, I think it's like coming up on its maybe like 4th or 5th year anniversary, that song, actually. I still love it when I turn it on or when people resonate with it. It's still just a joy for me. I wrote it with a very good friend of mine, Nicholas Setter, I should say. I still work with him today, and he's written a lot of the music with me for that project. And yeah, it was, just kind of a fun thing. We were just making music together. We actually met at a school I was teaching at and he was working at. So it was, an informal kind of hangs and writing. And then we had this little song idea that I showed to a friend who then helped us kind of realize the whole thing. But it was in a really interesting period for both of us that we were just, we'd been kicking around music and playing the industry game for a really long time, or not a really long time, but just, a while. I was like, we'll just put out these songs. Will be my little last hurrah, because everything is so frustrating. It's hard to kind of make a dent and get your foot in the door. And then this was the song that kind of really just had a viral explosion, and people loved it, and it opened a lot of doors for me. And it was the sign from the universe to continue to follow my dreams and not give up, which is ironically the actual message of the song. That was a true story. We were both just kind of down and out, like, hey, we keep getting these letters and signs from the universe to give up. But you know what? It was a no matter what, just keep going, one foot after the other. So it's become an anthem for sure for me and other people too.
So it was a message to me, or a message to you, your own message to yourself in a way, ultimately.
Yeah, ultimately that's kind of where I receive most of my inspiration from, is just things that I need to hear. I love stories of redemption. That seems to be like my main focus of what I can bring into the world, is this hope that, just don't give up, because it's sometimes last man standing and it can always change in a heartbeat.
Right. Well, it seems like just listening to this song as I have over the last day in preparation for this moment, it seems like the song has taken on new meaning after this year that we're coming out of, this COVID year. It seems like, sometimes a work of art can actually assume new meanings over time, and it feels like it has to me.
It totally has. There's always a revival of the spirit and the soul when I listen to it. And and people still resonate with it. It's still our best performing song. So that tells me a lot about, the roadmap of where I want to continue to write towards and for, because it's helped people. I know that's been the greatest joy, is people reaching out. Hey, that song is what I listen to every single bad day when I wake up, and it's I'm feeling down, or that song really saved me, pulled me from the other end, which, you always want to have people resonate with your art like that. But with COVID, it's definitely kind of been a one foot after the other slice of history for everyone. So
there's a Yiddish word called I'm Kvelling. When I listen to this song, I'm Kvelling, and what the Kvelling word means to those out there in the non-Yiddish universe, it means I'm almost tearful with pride and joy listening to you, watching you, and hearing and seeing this song on the YouTube channel. So I feel like, as having been a comedian, the audience in many ways is my tool to tell me about myself. It's like this constant dialogue between my joke and do they laugh? And as I just follow the laugh, so it's not that intellectual. And I want to know, as a songwriter, to what degree is the audience, when you have the opportunity to interface with them, guiding you towards whatever your truth is?
That's a great question. And it's still something I think I'm trying to, retrace my steps a bit too, because that specific moment, that moment of writing from like, hey, I was like so close to giving up. I haven't been in that place again because of that song. So authentically, the music has taken lyrically other directions. It still has tones of redemption, but I do find that whenever I put myself back in that heart space of, okay, hope, that's what people want from this project. That's what people want from me. I'm still trying to find that. I'm still trying to infuse that into the music and listen more to the audience as it changes and shapes to what I'm also wanting to create. So it's an interesting balance of bringing them into new stuff that you're working on and then also giving them what they really want and need, which is a lot more of the same, message.
So I guess the tension in celebrity of any sort is giving people sort of what they want and also maintaining your journey of exploration as a musician.
Yes, totally. It's been interesting because, I think that and we've talked to people in the industry and people that have worked with us, and really their kind of main thing that they want from the project is just more of that song, kind of regurgitated in different fashions and forms. And that's been a struggle to just be like, put my ego aside and be like, well, there's so much more to it than that. But also realizing that you're doing a service, you're giving a service to people by bringing them those stories of hope and redemption and that uplifting euphoric feeling that song really captures. So we're still chasing that a bit, but I'm still just grateful for I was so happy and shocked by the reaction to that song. It was like, I remember saying to myself, well, and this was of course silly looking back because you never really feel like this, but I remember thinking and feeling, well, dang, if this is like the peak, the pinnacle of like the art that I put out there and the reaction I'm going to receive, like I'm honestly full. Like this is more than I could have even hoped for. At that moment, that was really what I felt. I was like, damn, this is so good. So I feel just like full from all the experiences that song has gifted me.
Well, in the end, I think whether it's songwriting or whatever sort of creative endeavor, ultimately, the process is your reward. If you're looking for the rewards beyond the process, you're kind of in a dangerous space. So in the end, clicks, views, dollars, that's not really the reward. Ultimately, the journey of doing seems to me the ultimate reward. Is, as I listen to the whole little Monarch vibe, it's like you got this sort of cross-cultural West Coast self-realization freedom groove.
I honestly, no one's ever said it better, and I'm totally going to steal that for like PR blurbs because we have such a span of stuff we like and like to make. That encapsulates all of it. It's this California freedom, soul searching, rolled up into, some soulful grooves and some indie guitar licks and stuff. So, yeah.
A question I have for you is, we've been through this calamitous year, which has been a privilege to witness and more of a privilege, I hope, and still think to survive. But part of this year was, of course, this BLM Black Lives Matter awakening, and I know you were part of that. Talk about that and how that may have influenced your creative experience.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was, oh, God, this whole year, I guess year and a half now has just, I feel like I've lived so many lifetimes. That was, it's a privilege to be able to go out and speak and march and gather and rally for equality. And it's just so important. It's a continuous awakening, especially for, myself. And it was beautiful. And I was alive. Within the marches, within the protests, within gathering nations, and it's continuous. I'm still educating, reading, and trying to just become a better ally for all minorities, and even it's just, I think it's still never ending. But that was like a beautiful moment within a very a beautiful, at least, reaction to obviously a series of years and years of oppression, and it's ongoing.
That's an interesting question. I've often asked myself that, is how to be a better ally. One of the challenges in the civil rights movement when white people got involved is sometimes black people felt like they were taking it over. My mission for me personally as a screenwriter has always been about the truth of our history. And when people start to sense the truth of the history, not the mythology of our history, if they have a soul, if they have empathy, it becomes a different story. Last night I was watching Gone with the Wind, which is basically a myth-making movie for the 20th century about the lost cause of the Confederacy. It's a myth. And it's a myth grounded in a lot of lies.
Totally. I mean, I remember, romanticizing that film even as a kid. You watch it and films like that, and it is so distorted and so far from the truth that it's dangerous. I mean, still, media perpetuates stories of white saviorism, and we all have to watch out for that, because you can get easily trapped into celebrating these stories and awarding them, and then we're just kind of back in this cycle of like, oh wait, that was just a hidden story of a white guy coming out to be the hero, and really that's there are so many heroes. There are so many heroes to so many stories. So it's just, it's perpetually unlearning. That's a great, I think, also phrase that has come out of the recent Black Lives Matter movement, is this unlearning. It's not my phrase, but this unlearning in a way that's progress. It's constant. We have to really keep our finger on the pulse of how to be a better ally, how to understand what's celebrating and supporting and uplifting, and what is for your own portrayal and for your own benefit. Yeah.
Right, and I think maybe part of being a better ally is understanding that when one other person is emancipated, it actually has an emancipating effect on me as well. The more I can get out of my ghetto of mind and place, the freer I am. For example, for me as a guy who plays clarinet, the happiest day of my life pre-COVID was my jam session in South Central. And just to kind of integrate myself, it was like, I don't know how much I'm offering to the jam session musically or otherwise, but I knew it was giving a hell of a lot more to me.
Yeah, everybody has a really different experience of things. I was, one of the most amazing things, and my biggest bow of gratitude to my own life was really growing up in LA and having experience and exposure to cultures and all walks of life, everybody, and just loving it all and just breathing it in and just, I mean, that was really a beautiful kind of experience that I feel super grateful for. LA has so many everything under the sun. It's just amazing. You can pop into a jam session. You can go and eat at all different types of cuisines all over the world in your city, in your backyard. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to get a surf session and a jam session in one day is a unique place in America, and I'm grateful for having many of those days and nights. Talk about some of the influences musically, culturally, that helped shape the KCK project.
The band, the Little Monarch, it's a collective of myself, definitely at the forefront, productions that I'm now doing for people kind of with that sound, and then also my friends that have helped me write everything and play a lot of that stuff. And then I do my own solo stuff under our surname, Mark Calminson, so Casey Calminson, which is definitely more of like a healing, yoga-minded music space, which I also really love. I'm grateful to be able to kind of like drop more acoustic vibes into that project. But I mean, influence-wise, I mean, all over the map. I love Talking Heads. I love Joni Mitchell. I love CCR, Creedence Clearwater.
Really?
I love Fleetwood Mac, which, has, I think now people are like, oh yeah, Fleetwood Mac, but I obviously, they've always been top spot. Stevie Wonder, Aretha, I mean, all the Motown greats. I love reggae music. It's just, there's not much that I don't like music wise, or that I'm not willing to kind of dive into and spend a moment in.
Yeah,
So
when I listen to you, I feel like I can hear echoes of more recent artists like Amy Winehouse, even Jack Johnson. There was a kind of a beach band. I don't even know if they're still around. I remember them called Slightly Stupid, and then
stupid.
some of these, and then the echoes into jazz. And then, of course, I mean, I want you to talk about this because I want to expand upon this, but your mother was all things musical theater. So
Totally.
all those songs were downloaded into you probably maybe before you were even born. I don't know.
Yeah, the house was always full of the classics, Cole Porter's, Rodgers and Hammerstein. I mean, just really, that was our, car ride. Every car ride was musical theater, so that was ingrained in me. But I was never quite, in terms of my own vocals and my own stylings, I was always kind of in this weird spot where the musical theater people, I was way too alternative and different sounding. But the like indie, more pop stuff, they could clearly tell I had a musical theater background. It didn't surprise anyone. So it's fun to dance between these worlds. I actually, have been writing a musical and have kind of come back to my roots of musical theater just from a lyricist perspective, and really have enjoyed that as a fun passion project that has taken the last year or so, which could be more, and I hope it will be because the songs are really cool. It's definitely a different musical theater flavor. But yeah, it's like, I love musical theater. I still love it. It's had a resurgence in my heart the past decade or so, that's for sure.
Now, what can you tell us about this musical? Where are you in the process, or what inspired it? Is there any clues that we can get?
Yes, totally. It's it's one of those fun, like, I pulled a thread from the universe and it kind of unraveled this whole story and this idea that I actually followed through with, which as a creative, sometimes you get these little nuggets of ideas and you're like, oh, let me play in this for a day or a week. And maybe you don't really manifest it or follow through. But this one, because of collaboration, have been able to actually almost see it through. We're almost done with all the music. We have a ton of songs, and we're in final phases of script writing for it too. So kind of gonna see now the next step is like amalgamating the songs in the script. But the idea, the working title is Aurora, or Chasing the Light. And it's about a family that goes to Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska, to find the Northern Lights and to it's a family drama, essentially. And it actually was inspired, strangely enough, a few years ago was at a sound bath, which is not something I super frequent, but for those that don't know what a sound bath is, it's a more of a experiential, like 4D crystal singing bowls and flutes, and just more working with like the frequencies and tones in, bell tones and things like that. And I was lying there and I was like, this is such an interesting experience of music. And it's so trippy and so wild and different. And I thought, and for whatever reason, the image of like the Northern Lights, which I've never seen, obviously, aside from videos, kind of came into my mind as like, this is what they would probably sound like. These sound bath, these kind of just washy flavors. And then this whole story of this family that kind of went to, my cousins at the time were going on a family trip. And I was like, that would be a fun idea for a musical, is to do more of a all-encompassing sound bath kind of feel for a stage production, like you're in the round of it. And I just thought it would be a moment in this show, but then really the whole rest of the story unraveled. And that is just a real small slice of it, but that is the seed that it came from, is kind of, infusing a little bit more of like an esoteric vibe into the musical theater scene. We'll see. It's definitely out there, but it's been really fun.
Well, the only limit is your own imagination. So
that is true.
Where are you in that process, or what is the process?
So I'm a part of a trifecta of composers, lyricists. So there's three of us. I'm working with an incredible couple on it, Jen Cook and Peter White, and they're just amazing. And they are like, have their masters in musical theater writing. So they are like the pros, have worked in this. So I'm kind of just this kind of flailing idea person that is just pulling these weirdo abstract ideas and bringing maybe a little bit more of a indie alternative sense for lyrics into the whole thing. But the process for us was just really finding those songs that were just the backbone of the story, and then within that bringing on a friend who's a great scriptwriter, and she's now weaving the story together based around these songs. We kind of had a good idea of like how we storyboarded it, and we had where the songs were going to come in and what songs we needed to write still. Yeah, and then the script kind of came in, I'd say, like, you know, once we had half of the songs done, and then we said, okay, let's get a couple drafts and now see how everything is feeling. I mean, we're still in early stages because we have to workshop it and there's so much to be done. But the songs are, you know, they're strong and they're different. But they're just, yeah, I'm really excited about it. The more and more it was just kind of something that felt really fun and different and fresh, and working within the boundaries of a story rather than like, oh, this is my whole life, or what am I going to write about? This is like, these are specific characters with specific problems that are in a very, like, they're in the tundra in Alaska. So already there was just so much to work with in terms of the natural world coming in and infusing the story with the larger messages. So.
Well, years ago, I don't even know if you were born, Dad and I and Jimmy went to Alaska. I booked a fly fishing trip.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was so stoked about it. We flew to Anchorage. We stayed overnight in this little town called Dillingham. And then we got the private little single-engine plane to this fish camp in Alaska out by the Bristol Bay Wilderness. Jimmy wasn't feeling well. Turned around the next day and made his way out of the fish camp back to the town. A flight to Anchorage, and then connected through Seattle back to Los Angeles. Dad fished one day and said, I don't need to sleep in a tent. I did that in the Marine Corps. He was out of there, and I spent the rest of the week and had the greatest time.
I was about to say, I could guess that the story would go something like that. Like, I cannot imagine Dad in a tent at this point, or honestly at any point. Like, he to me is like, yeah, no, he's not that type. But some people are just not made for the great outdoors. I'll say that.
The lesson is, it's just like, just because I love someone, there is no I love something, rather, an activity, does not confer any obligation on another person who I love to also love what I love.
Exactly.
I felt bad about it. Like, geez, I booked the whole thing. I thought it was brilliant. It was in the nature, the wildness, and it was perfect for me. They hated it.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's so funny. That is, I went to Alaska one time when I was like 12 with my friend's family on a cruise.
I remember.
Oh, man. And I honestly, it's still to this day, was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. We are committed as a team in terms of this musical to get back there at some point and be there and see the lights as just at some point. You know, it's been, and also just to kind of bring in kind of some authentic, make sure that we're, you know, upholding and representing and respecting the history of that land too, because that's super important. We've been learning about the Athabascan cultures and all the different languages, and there's just so much richness. It's really beautiful. So it's just been a peek into something that I didn't know much about before.
There was a movie made years ago called Mosquito Coast, and it was about a father who had this idea about being close to nature and teaching his kids about adventure, and they go down to Central American Mosquito Coast, which is Belize. And they get way more than they bargained for. There's kind of two ideas of nature. One is our idealized version of Bambi in the woods and all the creatures are loving each other. And then there's another idea about nature, and that is if like a fish wakes up in the morning and his fin is sore and he goes, I don't know, it's a little sore. I think I'm gonna not hang with the school. I'm gonna take the day off. I'll catch you tomorrow. Just come back around. Boom, the sore fin fish is bait and done and eaten before 11 in the morning and digested by a creature larger. There's like opposing views of nature. I don't know if they find expression in your story or not.
You must be a psychic, because that is the foundation for the show. Is, you know, we keep coming back to what it is, and it's actually this paradox between science and spirituality in terms of the lights and finding the lights and this natural occurrence and our desire to understand everything scientifically, but also then there's this great mythology around the lights, that it's these dancing, you know, ancestors, or that it's that they're kicking around a walrus skull, and it's just, we have characters on either side, and it's this delicate dance of how each kind of blend over to the other side of looking through everything through a microscope or looking through everything through your soul. So it obviously plays into the nature element of it, but it's really, that's kind of the whole crux of it.
Wow. What's going on with Little Monarch?
We put out a new song about 2 weeks ago. It's like a disco, kind of disco fun, very has a lot of strings, and it's super fun. It's called This Time, and that's been really fun. And otherwise, I mean, we are still kind of, it's still a little bit of a challenge to all get together and make music in person and kind of get that fuller sound that we always have. But yeah, writing, finishing up some stuff. I've also, using that platform and that music and that project as a calling card for myself to produce for other people and write for other people as well. So I've, am trying to balance it.
Is that still Lanita and Justin?
Yeah, Lanita, Justin, Nick, those are kind of the four of us do most of the writing and stuff. There'll be other co-writers and producers that come on, but that's been the core of it, and they're still on most every song. Maybe not all together at once, but when they'll come in and out.
I have a pretty clear idea of what producing means if you're going to produce a movie or a TV show, but I don't quite understand what producing is in the recording business.
I feel, and I'm pretty green still as a producer, but I feel that those boundaries are changing at a rapid pace just with technology. You're the ability to produce on your own laptop, on your phone, on your iPad. I mean, that's essentially still is producing. It's putting together the backdrop for the top line, which would be the lyrics and melody. So whether that's you playing all those instruments, making the drum beat yourself, making, playing everything, or in the more traditional sense, a producer in a bigger studio would be kind of, with the engineer to help and run the boards, would kind of just be arranging, putting together like more of a traditional, closer to a movie producer, hiring the strings, making sure that they had the charts, hiring this person, making sure they had that, scheduling the day, and then really bringing it all together, comping all the takes, editing the takes, making sure that there's the right moments happening in each place. So just kind of a holistic approach to making sure the song gets where it needs to be. But today I think it's changed because, you can easily produce your own stuff for yourself. You don't have to necessarily have all of the, the manpower behind you in terms of the engineers and the players. There's just technology has afforded us so much to really be able to fully make songs sound huge and full just within your little laptop. So
all those working violinists are shit out of luck, though. Hey, I got a gig here. I got to be here on Thursday and at 9, and then I'm going to this session.
Yeah.
They're locked into some hard drive now. They can't get out.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, I think, in ways. I'm a big proponent of a hybrid approach to music. So I still will outsource drums and a lot of the time strings, which was on the last record we did. I have a great string arrangements. I find that the real thing elevates production so much where, it's just hard to recreate that. You can do it with VSTs, but and a lot of people do. And for certain projects that you need a quick turnover, or you're doing a huge catalog of, cinematic stuff, and it just would cost you so much to do live strings. It's great for that. But I don't think that they're out of work. I think there's still a lot of work for session players. It's changed.
Maybe there's an idea for an animated movie about all these musicians trapped in this hard drive and they're trying to escape, but they can't get out.
Oh my God. Yeah, that would be
a cello. I've been stuck in here. I can't get out. It's a nightmare. Help me. The French horn. I was the king of everything on the bassoon. Now I'm sampled. I'm totally fucked.
I know.
I hate this.
And they're stuck. Yeah. And they're stuck in one key.
So yeah, I guess then there's sort of an obligation as an artist and as a musician to have some sort of authorship or mastery over all this technology that's at our fingertips inside of our our laptops now.
Yeah, there's definitely an invitation. I think that it can be a slippery slope. I know myself, I'm constantly balancing like, okay, I need to get better and learn this and know how to use all my gear a little bit more, but I don't want to lose focus on the fact that really I think my strengths lie as a lyricist and as an arranger a bit for melodies. I love that I have a good ear, and that's kind of, I don't ever want to lose sight of that. At the same time, making sure that the audio quality sounds amazing is what's going to get you the gigs or not. So it's, it's a fine dance.
There's that tension. And I guess to me, everybody's like, oh, she's an indie artist. I don't like that term. I like she's an entrepreneurial artist because it feels more in line with an American kind of idea. And very often the corporations, particularly the movie companies, co-opt that.
Yeah, I think that, I've been able to like just maintain ownership over things that are important to me, which like my masters and my publishing. But I do work with bigger corporations to fund certain projects and make sure that things like happen in a way that's a little bit more elevated than like I can do, that make sure, things are distributed. There's like release plans. So I do work with some amazing companies that are definitely, bigger than me, but I kind of like to function as an independent and an entrepreneur. I think independent also is so much stronger than it was, that term just in music in general. There's just so much you can do on your own. It's kind of mind blowing. And you see a lot of artists that are independent, remaining independent, and they are just doing huge things and making big splashes and retaining a lot more money than they would be if they were kind of caught up in a deal that wasn't working for them.
Talk about your relationship, the evolving relationship with social media.
It's like a living, breathing demon inside my head some days, and other days it's like an angel on my shoulder. Like it constantly goes back and forth from, being a great way for people to find me and support me and get inspired. And then also just there'll be one comment out of 100 or something that just totally ruins my day, and it's everyone else is like celebratory. Oh my God, this is so cool. Like you're an amazing this or that. And there's the one person like, you look tired or like this beat is like very average. Cool. Like, or just as a girl too, that's like, I post a lot of like making beats kind of as I go, I'll play one part, I'll go to the next part, I'll go to the next part. And it's, I'm a girl. I wear what I want. I do what I want. That's what I love about it. But then there's that side of social media that's like the underbelly of the trolls. Facebook is something that I literally don't do it anymore. And I don't know if I'm totally missing the mark. But Instagram and TikTok, I do spend time there and I do post there. And I find that I'm like building a pretty nice community of like producers and creatives and just like friends and people to find the music. I don't really leverage my accounts enough or maybe kind of wring the rag of social media dry in terms of how I can monetize my following. But for me, I'm still kind of like trying to show up authentically, and that like is hard enough. So
yeah, I mean the TikTok I've done one. Didn't quite hit the jackpot, but one of the reasons I like this is it's a deeper dive. It's more interpersonal. It's more relaxed for people that are getting you in 30-second installments. This is a deeper kind of experience, and that's the experience I'd like to live on. Speaking of experience, I wanted to share this with the world.
Oh, yeah.
Casey and yours truly, some years back.
Oh, my God. Look at that middle part. It's so cute.
The movie that I wrote and directed called The Solar Opposite, which you appeared in, and you made a really brilliant contribution to the movie. I have very fond memories. My favorite memory was, well, there's a few. One is when you had a script idea about the drug situation, which was totally perfect. I did not think of it. And the only credit I'll take is I was smart enough to take your advice. And then when you were in your trailer for I think you had 2 days, I don't remember. And I was getting ready and I just checked in to see how you were doing, and you said, "Bill, thank you for making my dream come true," which was to be in a movie.
Aww. I mean, it's true. I think that was so much fun, and that movie is amazing. It holds. It really holds. The music is actually one of my favorite parts of that movie. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Folks, you can
Yeah,
get it wherever you want. Downloadable. Not a
it's
lot of
amazing.
people have listened to what are those DVDs anymore, but
Yeah.
it's available wherever you get movies to download, with the exception of Netflix. So screw them. But
Yeah.
Amazon, Apple
No loss.
Music, it's all there. And Casey's in it, and you just have a terrific cameo. I mean, you're just sort of it's just brilliant. I'm hoping I get a chance to offer some opportunities acting wise again. That's been
I
one of
hope
the
so too.
challenges.
No, it's all in flow. I think that you are paving your way as a brilliant Renaissance man creative that is always staying interested and interesting. It's been really inspiring to always be around.
Now, there's another sister in the mix that you kindly referred to, who was offered up a really powerful contribution to the movie, and that's
Yeah.
Cindy Calminson. What kind of
Shout
role did she play in terms of your evolution?
Oh man, a big one. I mean, I spent summers when I was growing up, well, not a few summers visiting her in Nashville, and she was a songwriter, gigging, playing, and I mean, she's just always beat to her own drum, and I've loved that, and we share kind of interests in plant life and sustainability that are really have been important to me. And yeah, I mean, I think that through osmosis, it's really she has influenced me a lot. I don't know if I would be a songwriter, but the same with you and so many people in our family. We are surrounded by creatives, entrepreneurs, and patrons. Everybody supports each other, and it's really great because it's so rare. And I don't think I would have been able to, feel supported or encouraged to pretty much paint with whatever brush I wanted to on my own canvas of life. So it's great. I can look to you. I look to Cindy for inspiration, to Jim, to Dad, to my mom, everybody. I mean, the family is full of gems. That's for sure.
What do you do with all that support? How do you rebel when everybody's supporting you? It's a nightmare.
I found time and I found ways to rebel. Tattoos, I highly recommend that. That's a great way to
Yeah.
rebel.
It's also a
Tattoos,
great way to make your mother go insane if you want. Yeah.
amazing way to make your mother go insane.
Tattoo
Prolong
by tattoo. You can do it slowly as you add them.
the slow death. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And the last tattoo I got, she actually was there with me, which was a huge step. And I thought like a real nail in the coffin. I was like, this is good. This will get her. No, just kidding. She's wonderful. And our relationship is just, it's amazing. So we have, that's funny. It actually, I really like tattoos. I like body art and adornment. So that has become, maybe it started as a rebellious thing, but I do like it.
I remember the first one, and you said,
No.
"No, it's coming off in 6 months. It fades away."
I was, by the way, first of all, I was a great, I don't lie anymore. That's really something that I don't do. So, like,
Okay.
I was brilliant, I have to say, because it was before these kind of fake like ink tattoos even were a thing, which they are now. So I pretty much was like way ahead of my time with that invention.
Well, I mean, you're a terrific example of just your whole life is a creation. You're living creatively down in Venice. The Venice has a tremendous kind of bohemian and the Beat Generation. Venice was a very, I don't want to say popular, but it was definitely a center for all kinds of expression and counterculture activity. Do you still feel that there?
Yes and no. Honestly, the artists that are here and that are they're few and far between. It's taken on a whole nother gentrified kind of feel. There's definitely remnants of like trippiness, but whether it's a real kind of culture and a hotspot. I feel like that's shifted in LA just as, people have gotten priced out of this area and it's really changed. I like it for proximity to the beach, and that was priority for me. But even when I've been down here not that long, but about 5 years, so it's been it's been good. I like it. It's a slice of weird.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing some expression for your love of surfing and some kind of longboard music video. I wanted to ask about that in terms of the whole creative arc of a song now. How integral for you is the visualization of it?
Yeah, I think that's kind of an area that I still am growing into and exploring. I've gone from like making music videos with a lot of people and, to now just figuring out how we can do it grassroots and on your iPhone. So it is integral. I mean, the visual aspect of things today is king. It can draw people in and lead people to the music so effectively. I'm still like sound story first, and my mind doesn't quite start to come up with visuals. I'm lucky to work with some amazingly talented people that can really, bring some of the music to life with really great visuals. But I think that's definitely a goal for me, is just to get a little bit more like YouTube minded and oriented. That hasn't really been like a really strong point for me, but Well,
it affords you like acting opportunities. You know what I really dug? The lyric videos. Because often I feel, at least for me, I got to listen 5,000 times. I mean, there's still Beatles songs from the 60s. What was that? But I love these lyric videos because it drives home not only the poetry and the tone, it's a balance between poetry and the tone. And sometimes I feel like the tone and the music and the arrangement overwhelms the words, the message, even though you kind of get it. And I really appreciate these lyric videos because they don't allow that stuff to get lost.
Yeah, lost. Totally. No, lyric videos are amazing. And a lot of the times those are the videos that end up performing the best. Because just like you, people really want to really absorb the entire message of the song, or they want to know how to sing along. And yeah, lyric videos are great. It's, as you see with like things like TikTok, that's like, those are short form kind of lyric videos, pretty much people playing, and oftentimes they'll project the words on the screen, and those do so well because again, people are kind of wanting to have the full experience of the song.
Now we're coming hopefully out of this COVID tunnel. I see light at the end of this tunnel. My main hope is that the light that I see at the end of the tunnel is not an oncoming train. What are you like anticipating for yourself, hopefully as a performer, as we move out of this over the course of this year?
Yeah, well, in 2019, I built this studio in Venice, and I have a really nice little patch of grass right outside. I mean, you've been over. So we started to do an event called Garden Sounds, and it was like once a month we would host performers. We did some spoken word stuff, meditation in the backyard with like about 50 people. Wow. Maybe 50, yeah, we had a lot of people. One of the times it was like far too crowded and overwhelming, but that is my hope, that immediately, in the summertime, we can start to host kind of, really neighborhood hangs with some local artists so that people can start to share art and connect again. I remember that it was, come on by with your clarinet. Exactly. It's still a favorite memory. People still talk about it, how awesome it was. And it was just a really fun, easy experience of music. So that, I think, first and foremost would be awesome. And then, we usually do kind of in the fall, go up to NorCal and play some shows and do a little bit of like a West Coast circuit of sorts. So I'm hoping that we can do that this year, maybe. Would be awesome.
This house concert, these intimate venues are really cool.
And it's such a great way to discover an artist too. You can really have an intimate experience with them and their art. It's like, it's really stripped and wonderful. I mean, there's obviously So Far Sounds, which is kind of an amazing example of that, which is in, people can host concerts in their own spaces, and it's in pretty much every city. And they're awesome. We've played a ton of those. They're incredible, great way to find real like superstar fans, because they're just seeing you and you're like in your bear.
You have the creativity of your music and your art, and you keep following that star, that light, wherever it leads you. And then there's this other dimension of creativity is social media, how we reach people, the live concerts. It seems like I'm trying to do it really with the Rebel Without Applause in my own way, is to be maybe take some of that creativity I've devoted to these screenplays or whatever and put it into like how to navigate the new world order we're living in. Seems like you're doing a good job.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have the tools at our disposal to create those audiences, to really, curate that audience. And it can be, it can be spanning, but you can really sustain off of it. Yeah. And I think that's the gift of social media is you can have 20,000 or you can have 1,000 really great fans that are going to be willing to spend $100 or something on, that's something. And we have the reach to do that these days. So it's really inspiring to kind of build these online audiences, because you don't have to have that fame that is, obviously it's nice, but you don't have to have that like astronomical kind of, household name kind of fame anymore. And you can still have a really important dent in your own life and others. So, yeah.
You definitely sharing the vibe the whole way. I hope for your fans this offers up a pretty cool deep dive in all things KCK, no matter what, because I so appreciate, this opportunity to just get to know you. I've known you for so long, but when I did a review of all your music, I realized, wait, I don't even know her. And I've known her since she was born. I mean, that day. And yet, there's this whole other deep, big dimension that's very thrilling for me to get to know you, not only as beloved sister, but as like tornado of creativity. So
I love you. It's so much fun chatting with you.
All right. Well, we'll do it again. And anytime you want to drop into my nutshell of infinite space, we can break it down jazz-wise, culture-wise, music-wise, what the hell ever-wise, and who knows what wise. So thank you, KCK, Little Monarch. Say hi to Justin and Lanita and your crew. Wow. And I look forward to seeing you again soon, Dave.
Love you.
Take care. Till next time, folks, you heard it with the great KCK. Namaste, shalom, and aloha. By that I mean, namashaloha. Okay.